Dr. Frieden, you're up.
Hello out there. I'm Ken Frieden, streaming live from Syracuse, New York. Thanks for watching our second performance at the Virtual Comedy Cafe. Today is April 23rd, 2020, and the news is kind of sickening. So why tell jokes? Well, as we say in Yiddish, lachen is gesund, laughter is healthy. Doktorim heißen lachen, doctors prescribe laughter. For an hour today, let's take that medicine and forget the news. A dozen young performers from Syracuse University will entertain you. For the past 2 months, they've worked with Stephen Rosenfield. He directs the American Comedy Institute in Manhattan, and he's the author of the terrific book, Mastering Stand-Up. We'd planned for him to run workshops here in Syracuse, but when social distancing started, we switched to Zoom. The only problem with performing for you on Zoom and streaming to the web is that we can't hear you laughing. My students are excited to share their original shticks. Leading off is a first-year student, I think. Anyway, I know she's from Scranton, Pennsylvania. She was a bit shy at first when she tried stand-up, but she's a natural. Please welcome the charming and witty Allison Scherger.
Hi, thank you, Professor. So I'm going to start off with a little talk about family reunions. As you may know, some families are really diverse. They have people flying in from Canada, Mexico, maybe Spain. But my family, we got people coming in with bipolar, depression, anxiety, you name it, someone's got it. So our family reunions, they kind of look more like a psych ward, except it's just the staff, or it's not the staff just dipped, and it's just the patients. And you know, people complain all the time about reunions, but I hate when people try to argue that theirs are crazier than mine. It's like, oh, boo-hoo, your family can't decide what episodes to watch on Netflix. My family has episodes while watching Netflix. You and your family couldn't get on an episode of Family Feud, or you tried to get on an episode of Family Feud, but you couldn't decide which family members should go. Meanwhile, my family couldn't decide which person to send to Dr. Phil. But at least my family members have medications and therapy. I can't even get help for my problem. To clarify, I don't even have a disorder. I just look way too young for my age, and it's really annoying. Now that I'm in college, everyone underage is getting a fake ID, but I didn't even try, because how am I supposed to convince a bouncer that I'm 21 when I can't even convince the person at the box office that I'm old enough to see A Star is Born without my parents? Come on, like A Star is Born? When I was 10, I watched Lady Gaga cover her body with raw beef at the MTV Awards. I think at 20, I can handle a romantic musical. One time I was doing 35 and at 25, and then I saw the sirens behind me and I was like, are you serious? No one drives 25. So I pulled over and rolled down my windows, freaking out, saying, officer, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize. And then I found out he didn't even know I was speeding. He thought I was 12. I've learned my lesson to introduce myself to adults and also my professor as a college sophomore, because if I don't, I typically get a, oh, so you're taking the SATs soon? Are you nervous? Actually, Karen, I'm nervous that when I celebrate my 21st in a few months, the bouncer will cut my actual driver's license in half. It's not only adults that think I'm too young. Sadly, I still get DMs from 16-year-olds telling me I'm cute. Can a high school sophomore at least say I'm hot? And I know boys typically call their girlfriends baby. So I really hope that was all my boyfriend meant when he referred to me as baby. But I became concerned when we went out to eat and this bitch asked the waitress for a high chair. I was well aware it wasn't for him. He's 5'10", and the waitress still brought one. And she gave me a pack of crayons. But then I remembered we were at IHOP, where kids eat for free, which also made me realize that maybe there are some positives to looking this young. I can get discounts. I won't get judged when I shop in the youth section for shoes to fit my size 3 feet. And I can even fly first class for free, as long as I sit on someone's lap. But I'm serious. One time I flew alone at 17, and the stewardess came over to me and said, "Sweetheart, would you like to move up so you'll feel more comfortable and, more safe?" So I just went along with it, and I was like, "Yeah, that would help. And I really miss my mom." So she said, "All right, honey, we can put you up in first class. Would you like some cookies? A soda?" And I was like, "Can I have a mimosa?" So recently, my friend tried to help me look older. She recommended I try these French braids. Maybe it would make me look bad or edgy. So I posted a Snapchat before I performed tonight, actually, and it looks like I got a comment. It says, "Hey Wendy, can I get a 4 for 4 and a soda?" Wow, I really just can't win. Well, that's enough for me. Now, I would like to introduce our next performer, who is a very funny and charming freshman from Baldwinsville, New York. He may be one of our youngest students in this class, but he will not fail to give you a good laugh. This is Ryan Micho.
Thank you. So because of the coronavirus, we have to take online classes for the rest of the semester. What I didn't realize about online classes was how self-conscious of my room they would make me, because like your room is your backdrop. And before online classes, I was pretty happy with my room. I don't know, like it had a bed, some windows, a ceiling, like it checked all the boxes. Then I saw other people's rooms. There's like a collector's art piece behind them. There's a live jaguar in the corner. It's like, do you live in a museum? My room, on the other hand, looked like it was decorated by a 12-year-old because it was. I decorated this room when I was like 12 and I never looked back. If you look around, my room used to look like someone just closed their eyes and tried to make a scrapbook of random athletes. Like I'd never taken anything down. If I got a new poster, just slapped it up where there was any free wall space before I could even read the name. It's like Derek Jeter, sure. LeBron James, why not? OJ Simpson, yeah, he had a good career, right? So the whole first class, I was just trying to like situate myself perfectly in the center of the camera so I could block out my walls. And then every once in a while, I'd accidentally catch a glimpse of like the Mark Sanchez poster over my shoulder. And I was like, why do I have that? Who sold me that? And they should be in jail. And if you don't know who Mark Sanchez is, you're in the majority because he has not been relevant since 2010. Immediately after the class ended, I had to like make a mass exodus of my decor. It looked like a yard sale, except you wouldn't want to buy anything. I took down everything as fast as possible, just ripping down drywall and posters. So anyways, if anyone's interested in a 2x4 of Derek Jeter, I will be taking offers. I do miss campus though. I went ice skating on campus before we had to leave for quarantine. Ice skating, it's interesting because when there's ice like outside on the sidewalk, we avoid it at all costs. But when it's inside, we pay $15 to go on it, which is not how we handle most dangerous things. Like nobody's ever been like, hey, you want to go hang out in that burning building? Yeah, it's $15 to get in, but I can cover you. For those of you who have not skated in a while, the way it works is you lace up your skates and then you wobble over to the rink door. And there's actually a little garbage can next to the rink where you throw away your dignity. And then you step on the ice and all your coordination flies out the window. The first thing you have to do when you get onto the ice is merge into the oncoming skaters, which is a terrible starting point. Like imagine you had never driven before and you were in the car with your dad and he was like, all right, so the right pedal's the gas and the left is the brake. And we're on the on-ramp to the highway. And there's an 18-wheeler that's about to hit us. So merge, 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 merge. That's what your first step into skating is like. And the worst part is there's no way to play off a fall when you're ice skating. Like you can only fall ridiculously. And when you fall, your legs, they go like baby giraffe. Like there's no real plan in mind. And it takes time to fall. Like you have time to think what happened. You're like, oh no, here we go. Ooh, this is gonna hurt. I finished that biology essay. Learning to skate, it's like learning how to walk, except nobody is helping you learn. It's kind of like if parents took their baby, however you hold a baby, they took their baby, they brought it to a racetrack, and right before the 100-meter dash started, they just tossed their baby on the track, and they're like, run, Michael, run. I also miss how everybody at Syracuse has collectively decided not to obey traffic laws. It's beautiful to see our campus so unified. People, they'll just cross the road whenever they want without looking, just trusting their Canada Goose to take the blunt of the hit. It's like, are you trying to get hit? Actually, college kids love to talk about getting hit by buses. You'll hear them. They'll be like, what if I just jumped in front of the bus right now? It'd pay for my tuition. I'm totally going to do it. They tend not to. I'm not sure why everyone has so much confidence in their ability to survive getting hit by a bus. Like, are you going to practice? You're just going to jump in there cold turkey. It just seems to be a lot of talk coming from the 5'4", 120-pound girl, and the 30,000-pound bus is not doing a lot of talking. I guess like the logic behind jumping in front of a bus would be that you would get injured and collect the money from a lawsuit. There are much safer ways to make money, like start a lemonade stand, sell meth. Pretty much anything else is safer. Even those like the get cash now clickbait companies would be like, "Whoa, hey, I don't know if you should do that. Seems kind of irresponsible." But once you do make that money, feel free to use it to buy that 2x4 foot poster of Derek Jeter from me. Thank you, guys. Up next to perform is a very funny senior from New York City, Rory.
Thanks, Ryan. So I have a chronic cough, and it's always been a major problem for me. But now it's kind of great. When I visit the grocery store, it slips out. Oops, guess no one else wants the last chicken breast. Talk about social distancing. I mean, I have the place to myself. I knew I was really bored from quarantining when my family spent our day playing hide and go seek with the Roomba. It ended up being kind of upsetting because we still can't find it. I'm spending most of my time at my computer in my childhood bedroom. It's embarrassing when I'm on Zoom because my background is a portrait my mother made to my 6th grade self. It's practically a shrine. I'm scared to take it down, but who's my mom gonna talk to when I move out? I've been trying to take it down for 10 years, but I really love staring at myself when I wake up. Speaking of myself, I'm a huge star on TikTok. My whipped coffee tutorial has 3.5 million views, 1 million of which were from my mom. I told my parents, I'm famous. I can drop out of school. I finally have a job. My 17-year-old sister is suffering from cabin fever. The other day, she asked me where to get a fake ID. I was like, damn, Jamie, where do you think you're going? Prepping for the future, I guess. Turns out, she wanted to get into the grocery store early. We found out when my dad ran into her at the store the other day. She was in a crazed frenzy trying to stock up on her cooking wish list of tamarind paste and bourbon-soaked vanilla beans. My dad can get in early because he's over 60. In the good old days, I would get ID'd at the bar. Now he's getting ID'd at the grocery store. He went to Costco and came back with some fitness equipment, a 10-pound bag of basmati rice for dips, and a watermelon for squats. This pandemic is like Hanukkah. Each night we ask, will our White Claws and Wi-Fi last 8 days? And every day we celebrate that we haven't run out of toilet paper yet. And we've got the UPS guy out here delivering gifts like he's Jewish Santa. Today, we even got a hair coloring kit for my mom. We opened it with gloves and Lysol wipes. It was the highlight of my day. So up next is an extremely talented and funny junior from somewhere in Maine, Luca.
Thanks, Rory. Well, I, like everyone, has been feeling bored and cooped up by the quarantine so far. Obviously, everything related to sports has been canceled, which is extremely disappointing. But I, for one, contend that despite the pandemic, I think a good old-fashioned CNN presidential debate would be exactly the type of blood sport to unite this country right now. And while I know so many young Americans are beyond excited to watch Joe Biden attempt to finish a sentence when the eventual debate comes up, I'll go out on a limb and say that the hypothetical Sanders versus Donald Trump debate series would probably rival any WWE SmackDown, just with somehow less thongs and more spray tans. Now, I know that the logistics of getting that many people together at a time like this is almost impossible. So I did the adult thing. I went ahead and I asked CNN to let me do the entire debate series myself. Now, I know you might be confused, but let's just think about that for a second and how much fun that would be. You just have me standing up there alone, staring deep into the eyes of Anderson Cooper between both podiums. He's obviously very confused at this point. I imagine nobody told him. He didn't want to change the way he prepped his questions. gentlemen, with a question mark, tell me why you're most ready to be the next president of the United States. So I'd think for a second, and then I'd run to one side of the stage. I believe that the person who should lead America into the next decade should be the person who has the support of the young people of this country. All it takes to create change is passion, vision, and a little bit of Ben & Jerry's mint chocolate chip ice cream. And then I'd gather my thoughts and quickly run to the other side of the stage. I'd slip on a hat and somehow attempt to cut myself off. Now, Anderson Cooper, I love this country. Everybody knows how much I love this country, especially people like you. But I don't want to live in a country that's ruled by a communist, even though I love communists. You know, Anderson, you've had a long career. You're very successful. You've done some good things. Let's face it, some questionable thing, your track record. And at this point, CNN has already unplugged my mic and they've turned me off. And now America has the rest of the night to do literally anything else. Thank you. Up next, we have a junior from New Jersey, someone I got confused a lot for in the dorms freshman year, the wonderful Thomas Manning.
Thank you, Luca. I've been called Luca a few times as well. Jews have never won a religious war, but my dad and I still have hope. Even before kids, my mom was trying to take my dad's Jewish culture away. My last name is Manning, but it was almost Milkowitz. About as Jewish as it gets, right? My dad's wife was Jewish, but she was fine with it. My mom was not, nor was she allowing her kid to have the last name Milkowitz. I mean, kids are bullies. Fast forward to my birth, and my parents are already arguing if the names would sound more Jewish or more Catholic. My dad was spitting out names left, right, and center. Elias, Miras, Nachum, all great names if you ask me. My mom was also spitting out names, only much louder. Brian, Ryan, Thomas. Well, if you know my mom, you'll see why I'm Thomas Manning and not Elias Milkowitz. My dad's a great guy. Just never mess up his food order. One time he ordered a chicken parm and realized when he was almost done with the meal, that it was actually veal. My mom and I exchanged one of those, oh my God looks. I knew exactly what she was thinking before she opened her mouth. Thomas, you restrain him. I'll apologize to the server. We'll leave a 20% tip. No one gets arrested. Another war lost by the Jews to the Catholics. I miss a few classes because I'm deemed essential by the state of New Jersey. The importance of my work is second only to our healthcare workers. I work at a liquor store. I went in at the start of quarantine expecting a nice quiet day, and as soon as the doors opened, you would have thought we had a buy one, get one free sale on White Claw. Some people were walking in and you would have thought the world was ending. I mean, how else can you explain someone buying 8 30 racks of Bud Light and 30 packages of Marlboro Reds? I'm really nervous about working there because it's kind of toxic. I'm not talking about the virus, though. I'm referring to my boss, Rob. Rob is a massive racist. And I think it's fair to say that because he keeps telling me that he is. He uses the N-word more than most rappers do. He always says to me, Thomas, you follow those people around so they don't steal. Oh, you mock up those prices yet? I told you to do that an hour ago. What are you doing? In fairness, there is a lot of robbery going on at the store. But it's actually Rob robbing our customers with insanely marked up prices. At the liquor store where I work, even my mom refuses to shop there. Yesterday, one of our regulars comes in, African-American dude. He walked right into the store, which you cannot do right now. He asked for his daily bottle of Hennessy. And my boss says to him, we're about to run out because you people drink it all. This man was furious. He was ready to kill Rob. I'm thinking in my head, I don't like my boss either, but if he dies, who's there to sign my paycheck? Before it escalated, I had to break it up. I didn't say anything, I just the customer sprinted out so fast, you would have thought Rob had already called the cops. I think if I did that now, I'd be in jail for assault. Thank you, guys. Up next, we have a sophomore from the lovely Garden State, New Jersey, a nice Jewish girl, Miss Emily Bright.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. So I've always been a very happy and positive person. In fact, my friends used to bully me because I was too positive. So one day I decided that I needed a deep internal struggle so I could really feel sadness. I decided that it's really hard to be anorexic and Jewish. Don't worry, you can laugh at that because it's true. America's telling us you're never thin enough. Maybe this year you'll shed some pounds. But Jewish culture is saying you are an ungrateful bitch if you don't stuff yourself until you explode. There are Jews out there that don't know how to cook and are suffering. As someone who's been there, but now I can indulge in all the latkes I want, here's an anorexic girl's guide to the Jewish holidays. Gossip your way through dinner. Instead of getting in line for brisket, spread rumors about how your cousin's new boyfriend is uncircumcised. Please, no one prepares you for a sight like that. And then have your great aunt check if it's true, against his will, of course. She'll confirm, and the boyfriend's gone forever. 2, drown yourself in Manischewitz alongside your grandma until she is so fucking wasted that she forgets to remind you that everyone gets fat one day and I'm no exception. Her with her cigarette. Oh mon Dieu, Amélie, it's a shame. The French are so skinny, but not the Jews. You have both. Anyway, when you just drink wine, there's something about the liquid calories that just don't seem to matter as much as food. 3rd, you can drink your great uncle with Alzheimer's, who obviously was once a rabbi. Please, what kind of family do I have? Into thinking that today is Yom Kippur and everyone is secretly sinning. Every day is a great day to fast. So it's always possible that I've been an attention whore. And I'm okay with saying that. I like to make declarations and turn everything into a big deal, even when no one wants to believe me. Like when I decided I first became a woman, when I got my first boyfriend at 16 years old. I tried to be rebellious and hide it for a bit, but then I decided to surprise my parents and tell them I was finally cool and could be loved dearly. I have really great supportive parents, don't worry. I march downstairs, my hair and makeup fully done for my date later, and I say, Mom, Dad, I have a suitor. I'm no longer a child. And they look at each other for a few seconds and then they start hysterically laughing. I stand there humiliated while my parents are crying laughing for 15 minutes, texting all of their friends the fake news. My mom calls my aunt and screams into the phone. Apparently she found a boy that wants to date her. Who knew that could ever happen? I think she feels hopeless and is making it up. I was so hurt. Am I really that ugly that I didn't deserve a boyfriend? Don't answer that. So I texted my camp friends who didn't find me cool. And I told them that I had a boyfriend, so I couldn't be in love with a skinny wannabe Jap boy this year. Immediately, I got responses saying, you're joking. I'm going to kill myself. Emily has a boyfriend and I don't. Maybe she's lying to not sound like a prude. Maybe there's something wrong with him. So, as to me, who really never cursed at anyone when I was this young, replied with, suck my dick. I'll see you at camp. I love you all. After that, no one ever questioned me again, and I had the greatest summer of my life. However, after that, my love life only went downhill. Everyone wants a rom-com moment to happen, and let me tell you, this is possibly one of my greatest talking points. I'm just like all other Jews. I love to complain about my misfortunes and brag about how they're worse than yours. You have a right to be jealous of me. It's a sob story and something that makes me look amazing. My ex was a lying and cheating whore for almost 3 years. You can laugh at that. That's the funny part. I feel like Midge Maisel talking about this. This is exciting. But then boys think they can pull some Romeo and Juliet type of shit on you and win you back immediately. So in his act to save his damsel in distress, me, who was having no problem meeting new people, by the way, thought it would be a fantastic idea to get blackout drunk in the city, hop on a bus to Syracuse, and win me back in front of my entire family who was visiting for the Duke game. My knight in shining armor turned out to be a loser in tinfoil. As if a plastered, cheating screenwriter who can't hold his liquor is exactly what I was dreaming about. So boys who think you're romantic, shut up, take your head out of your ass, and please just buy me an expensive dinner. Thank you. Up next is the fabulously talented New York City sophomore, Nate.
It has been all over the news for the last couple of months, causing chaos throughout the country. Of course, I am talking about the new sandwich at KFC. 2 glazed donuts with fried chicken in the middle. Is there anything more patriotic? In Japan, they put raw fish over rice. In Mexico, beef and cheese in a shell. In America, they put fried chicken in between 2 glazed donuts. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. Nothing says the land of opportunity more than Uncle Sam, I mean Colonel Sanders, making you a sandwich with fried chicken stuffed between 2 glazed donuts. Look, this pandemic sucks for the people who are sick and dying. I know. But I got to admit, I love being in quarantine. Like a lot of you, I'm watching the face of the quarantine, the Tiger King. Carol, the husband killer Baskin, riding her bike and saying, "Hey, all you cool cats and kittens." And Joe Exotic beheading Carol on his reality show. Joe is gay, but I really think he was in love with Carol. They're the Tiger King and Queen. That's why he paid the hitman only $3,000 instead of $5,000, because he didn't want him to go through with it. For me, this quarantine is working out because I got a 5-star bathroom here. Bathrooms fascinate me. I'm kind of like George Costanza in that sense. George once said, "Name any street in the city and I'll tell you the best bathroom." I had that same goal in life. My family used to travel a lot before we were quarantined. In Barcelona, we did all the touristy stuff, Gaudi this, Gaudi that. We went to a soccer game, they won, Messi and Neymar both scored. But the thing I remember more than anything is that bathroom in that soccer stadium, Camp Nou. The bathroom is just a wall. Really gave a new meaning to the term backsplash. We went to Wrigley Field, home of the Chicago Cubs. Yeah, the ivy, the history, wonderful. But the bathroom, it had no urinals. Just one massive trough. It's peeing into a bathtub with 50 people staring at you. I got stage fright. Last night, I watched the movie Her. Now, I don't smoke. I've never been high. But I have to believe that when Spike Jonze wrote the movie Her, he had to have been high. What if, I wrote a movie about how a dude falls in love, but get this, it's not with a girl, it's not with a guy either, but it's with his computer. And then Seth Rogen responds, "Wow, bro, you just blew my mind, man. Man, you'll win an Oscar." The movie Her is straight out of a 5-year-old's Mad Lib. Name, Theo, falls in love with noun, computer. This movie will almost certainly make you start to see and hear Siri in a different light. Apparently, you could just slap Scarlett Johansson's voice on anything and it'll make it sound sexy. Getting on the 4 train and hearing, "Please move away from the doors." Or imagine all the crashes if Scarlett Johansson was the voice of Waze. This movie also made a 100 movie must-watch list. Having this on a list with The Godfather is like going to a 5-star restaurant and asking for a KFC fried chicken and donut sandwich. Thank you. And next up, we got from beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, Nama.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to be here. I'm Nama, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Atlanta, why are you in Syracuse, or why'd you go to Syracuse? But the truth is, I wanted to move away from home, but keep those homey vibes. So I moved from the South to the South of Canada. And so far, it's been great. There have been a few things that have shocked me, though. Like where I come from, people keep their racism in the closet. Like it hangs right there in the closet, right next to the white robe. You know, if they're gonna be racist, you gotta be low key about it, out of respect for the history. And I did grow up with traditional Southern culture. Right outside of Atlanta, you'll pass your first rebel shop. You heard of a rebel shop? It's you've heard of the Civil War. You know, the one y'all won. In the South, rebel shops, they're everywhere. They're like Confederate gift shops, but we just call them museums. They sell exactly what you think they would have. They have t-shirts and flags and a beautiful collection of second place trophies. The women in these shops, they're all very proud of their sorority. Kappa, Kappa, Kappa. It's very welcoming. I was 7 when I figured out my mom was a lesbian. We were leaving a grocery store and I realized she hadn't bought anything that wasn't on the list. Lesbian. Before that, I just thought all the toolboxes in my house were my dad's, wherever he was. You know, straight women walk into a grocery store and get a ton of things they don't need. Straight people see a sale on a mega pack of LaCroix and think, yes, I need this in my life. But lesbians look at that sale the same way they look at men: unnecessary, not essential to the process. You know, if you've ever thought that your dating pool is small, my mom is looking for a nice Jewish lesbian, 50 to 55, in Atlanta, Georgia. And that's essentially just the JCC softball team. The pool is so small, they don't even have online dating. They just have a Facebook group. I came home from winter break and I found the entire Facebook group. That's like 9 Jewish lesbians plus their bench players. They were sitting in my living room doing the true intersection of Judaism and lesbianism. They were eating brisket and watching Orange is the New Black. You know, having a lesbian mom has made me slightly homophobic, I would say. You know, you guys see 2 lesbians making out and you're like, nice, like, let's go. I see 2 lesbians making out and I'm like, Mom, stop. Thank you so much. This has been my pleasure. Up next, we have a senior from Washington, D.C. Please welcome Drew Hurley.
Thank you so much, Nama. Really great stuff. So my understanding of religion has been as clear as the water in Flint, Michigan. A Jewish mom and a Catholic dad attempting to explain religion has kind of been like me running a marathon. Impossible. Funny enough, I had a buddy run a marathon recently, and he told me that God was with him. So I asked, do you think God's nipples were as chafed as yours at mile marker 20? He didn't appreciate that one. So I followed up with asking how God always comes first in his point of view. If God comes first, did the Kenyans beat God? I saw it at school too. My girlfriend said, God speaks to me. So you're telling me that this all-powerful being who controls what happens on Earth has time to talk to you? Sure, yeah, I buy that, definitely. Last night you blacked out at Lucy's and threw up your mac and cheese calzone from Callio's, and he chose you. I guess God has really had to rethink this whole talking to people strategy. You always hear about the miracles he performed to, connect with people. I'm guessing in today's world, a miracle for God is having a Zoom chat with no internet connection. I guess the one time I did believe in God was when I got through TSA with my 90-year-old grandma. The first thing I heard, what the hell is going on? As if I had something to reply, because she wouldn't have heard it anyway. Weirdly enough, nobody stopped the lady. She's got some real chutzpah. I think TSA recognized her from the last incident and just thought, we don't need to waste our time on this one. Let's let her roll right through. So I pushed her through. Turns out you don't need TSA pre-check if you have a senile old woman with you. I'm glad she was the one that packed all the drugs, mixed in with her decades-old pill bottles, was the stuff that she's supposedly supposed to take, as well as my Xanax and whatever else I needed to get across the border with no one looking. Thanks, guys. Up next is the always funny senior from New Jersey with his second performance, Jacob Belotti.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love that, Drew. I really want to meet your grandma. So my first Tinder date ever, I'm 5 miles deep in the woods with a complete stranger. And that's not even the worst part. He's majoring in trees. Not even the fun kind, just like actual trees. So he invites me to go hiking. And listen, I was a Boy Scout. Of course I'm into that. Category of porn choice is outdoors. So like, what could go wrong here? This man picks me up and drives me over an hour away from Syracuse. We get to like this little outlet for hiking and there's no cell reception or other cars. Oh, bitch, I'm no idiot. I was totally nervous, but I figured this couldn't be any more dangerous than the Boy Scout campouts I had with Mr. Dory. Anyway, we start walking, he's stopping to eat leaves or whatever the fuck tree majors do, and it just doesn't end. And I've seen the Pine Barrens episode of The Sopranos. I know what happens in woods like this. So we get about an hour into it and he just stops in front of me. I'm completely sure I'm about to be murdered. Like, this is the Blair Witch Project, he's the witch, and I'm all 3 film students. It's strange what you think about when you think you're gonna die. The classic life flashes before your eyes ain't it. Like, why was I thinking about Kids Bop 7? That fact still haunts me to this day. I'm standing here in the middle of the woods with a stranger and my mind is going, let's get it started and let's get it started in here, in the voices of 30, 11-year-old children. What is that? And I'm more petrified than Russell Crowe having to sing in a movie, and look how that turned out. I knew I only had seconds to react here. So he turns around slowly, and I jump up faster than James Charles to a $700 meet and greet. You know the fight or flight instinct? Yeah, I chose the run the fuck away one, but I immediately tripped on a root. He runs over and gets on top of me. And that is the story of the best sex I've ever had. So I got a new phone number recently, and the company sold that number to telemarketers. I get at least 5 scam texts every day. All of them start with, "Hey, Rebecca." Now, I may have many personalities. One of them is Becky, but none of them are Rebecca. And these texts have gotten more and more aggressive. One recent one, "Hey, Rebecca, what are you good for if your man's dick is limp? Slip this in his beer, you slut." Followed by a link that could only be a portal to hell. So then I'm sitting there thinking, what am I good for if my man's dick is limp? Who are you to call me a slut? I'm genuinely hurt for Rebecca. Then I get this heartbreaking text from a friend of the real Rebecca saying, "It's hard to believe it'll be 2 years this year. I miss those late night trips to Sonic for those pickle slushies you liked." Okay. I've never been disrespectful of the dead. But if you're someone who liked pickle slushies from Sonic, maybe there's some sort of poetic justice here. I needed to find out who Rebecca was, but I could find less than a Google search result of Renee Zellweger talent. Then I get this one text that starts with, "Hey, Miss Golden." Flash forward 10 minutes and I know that 47-year-old Rebecca Golden was a New Jersey bass fishing champion. Her death was a mysterious New Jersey bass fishing accident. No actual cause of death was listed. What? A bass fishing accident? How do you die bass fishing? Does the fish flop into your face, knocking you out and overboard? Suspicious. And in New Jersey? I've lived here for 22 years. If you're on a kayak under the Hackensack Bridge, you'd have better luck catching a dead body than a fish. So all of a sudden, I start feeling something I've never felt before. A purpose. I was put on this earth to solve the murder of Rebecca Golden. It all adds up. She dies in a mysterious accident. I'm given her old phone number. She's a bass fishing champion. I don't have meaning in life. The dots all connect. Then it hits me. There's only one thing that could have caused this. Bass fishing was just a silly cover-up of the real crime here. The Sonic pickle slushies. This bitch loved those things, and when they killed her, Sonic staged it to look like a freak accident. It's the only thing that makes sense. It's either that or Carol Baskin, and I couldn't find any link when I typed their names in the same Google search. Thank you very much. And now a junior from Dublin, Ireland, Owen Kingsbury.
Thank you, Jacob. It's gonna be very hard to follow up after that. But like Jacob said, my family lives in Dublin, and I'm sure it's like this in most places now at this point, but I was really surprised when I first got off the plane here at how seriously they're taking this whole COVID thing. I mean, on my first trip to the grocery store, I just tried to stroll right through the door, and I was greeted by a masked man. He charged me with his hands up, screaming, "What the hell do you think you're doing?" And I was shocked, honestly. I wasn't wearing socks with sandals. I wasn't doing anything I thought was wrong. But I mean, this guy, he proceeded to take me to the back of the line, and then he just paced me back 5 feet from the last person. And as I was walking by all these people in line, dressed fully in their Corona attire, looking prepared to enter the depths of Chernobyl, meanwhile, myself, I'm unmasked, ungloved, effectively looking like a menace to society. I kind of felt like everyone was looking at me like that monster in Monsters, Inc., with the sock on his back, and any second, some dudes are just going to rappel down from the ceiling with hazmat suits on, screaming, 2319, we've got a 2319. I'm sure my parents also love those shrieks at 12:40 in the morning, bedroom's right above me. Anyway, while I was in the grocery store, I actually came to an epiphany that there would be no better time in my life to be a thief. I mean, normally, if you walk into a store with a mask on and wearing gloves, everyone's going to be aroused or suspicious. But right now, you can walk by everyone wearing gloves and a mask. You're not even going to leave fingerprints, and you don't look slightly suspicious at all. In fact, you look less suspect than if you were wearing nothing. I mean, furthermore, the store owners, they can't even identify who the thief is because a white guy wearing a mask and gloves accurately describes the entire population of the country of Ireland and many other countries too, basically. This could apply to many other criminal acts. Wearing a mask and glove, you could get away with anything, really. So to prevent the temptation to break the law, I myself have been keeping myself inside and simply playing video games. I left my Xbox at Syracuse, unfortunately, so I've been getting into the old iPhone games I used to like when I was younger, such as the great Clash of Clans. But after playing for a little bit, I realized this game was advertised as free, and that is complete bullshit. And there are so many other games like that that are ruined because of some nifty little thing known as in-app purchases, or any parent who bought their 12-year-old an iPhone's worst nightmare. Let me tell you about these in-app purchases that plague the iPhone App Store and all free iPhone games. So in Clash of Clans, you want to build a new town hall, that'll cost you some gems, which will cost you some real life money, or you could decide to wait weeks, if not months, but who the hell wants to do that? I, for one, I learned this lesson the hard way. Let me tell you, in middle school, my village, it was dope as hell. I had a max level town hall, practically everything I needed to defend myself. My God, I was thriving. And I mean, it only cost me a mere $200 and an ass whooping from my dad, and I got an 100 pixel by 100 pixel digital town hall. Terrific return on investment. Now, today, the thought of paying real money to protect my virtual village from virtual invaders, it just seems idiotic. And those people might be thinking to themselves, what kind of person would do that? But also, most of us are putting ourselves into severe financial debt just to get a piece of paper, and this diploma we're supposed to get can't even fend off goblin hordes, so we all kind of look like idiots too. I mean, you might think what kind of kid would fall for this ploy, but a lot of kids could. In middle school, my friend Thomas, he gained mad respect for his dragon collection and all his eggs he had in Dragonvale, something we thought he had spent months, if not years, to build up and gather. Hard work and dedication he put into this game. All for that to be ruined when it was exposed that his mom was pissed at him for spending $1,500 of his parents' money on these dragon eggs. And he still gets shit for this today. I mean, a middle schooler, or especially kids even younger than that, who have iPhones, probably don't even put together the fact that every time they speed up the hatching process of their egg or upgrade their town hall or whatever the fuck it is they do in their game, that they're spending real life money that is basically getting wasted. That is, unless you think something like having a rainbow dragon in Dragon Veil will look really good on your resume. Then you're not wasting it at all. This kind of sense of gratification, instant gratification, of course, that is always at our fingertips, it's exactly why everyone hates Generation Z and Gen Alpha. And I mean, why the hell are the kids after us, born after us, why are they even called Generation Alpha? There is absolutely nothing alpha about playing Fortnite and watching TikTok all day. And I don't even want to get started about Fortnite. Kids on Fortnite, my God. These kids are spending ridiculous amounts of their parents' money on Fortnite skins. Like it's like $20 for one skin, and some kids have close to 100 skins. You do the math. Like imagine if little Timmy goes up to his mom and says, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm sorry you had to take out a second mortgage on the house, but look at my Fortnite guy. He's got a skeleton skin. He looks like a dragon too. It's super dope." Like no parent's gonna be happy with that. I mean, it's a terrible example for kids these days, these games, because they're gonna be real pissed when they find out they can't just skip through high school or have someone take the SATs for them by spending some money on some gems. Thank you. And I take the absolute pleasure of introducing sophomore out of the tropical Cleveland, Ohio, Josh Snyder.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. My family is very fortunate that we have access to a presidential level cabinet of advisors. I am referring, of course, to my dad's poker game. If I ever need anything, my dad goes to his best resource, which is his poker buddies. These are the people who he spends the most time with during the week. He even celebrates Shabbos with them. If I ever need my shirt pressed last minute before an interview, Bert always raising Goldberg. Got pulled over for a DUI, Dave never folds Reuven. Tickets to the Browns game or front row seats at the shul for high holidays, Gary straight flush Friedman. Someone to examine that weird mole that I have down below. Our family doctor, Kenny Pocket Queens Goodman. My papa, who's a car dealer, even gets in on the game. So now everyone is driving a new Toyota. I know one day they're going to find my future wife because for the past 19 years, they've been trying to set me up with Mark Weissman's daughter. And it's not just goods and services. These guys all have the latest scoop. So I asked my dad one day, how come the Jews know everything before anyone else? And he replied, "Oh, Josh, it's simple. The Jews have this expression. It's vistizach." And I ask, what does that mean? He says it's a Yiddish expression that roughly translates to what's happening. Jews just ask each other that, and that's how they find out about everything. And he tells me the story about when President Trump decided to go undercover to determine if this was true. Trump dressed up as an Orthodox Jew. He was wearing the traditional black hat. He had a beard, long black coat, the whole shebang. The president was secretly flown to Crown Heights, Brooklyn's most Jewish neighborhood. He goes to Mendy's Deli, and soon enough, a little old man comes shuffling inside. The president stops him and whispers, "Vistizach?" And the old man whispers back, "Oi, oi, oi, my boy, have you heard the news? That schmuck Trump, he's in Brooklyn today." A couple months ago, my friends got mad when I said I would never vote for Joe Biden. And they said, "What, is he too far left for you? You don't agree with his policies?" And I said, "No, it's because Joe Biden is exactly like my grandfather. And I know for a fact that my grandfather cannot run the country. Not only can my grandfather not watch a full football game without falling asleep, but he also got the dishwasher confused with the refrigerator the other day. If my Gramps puts plates in the freezer, then there's a 95% chance that Joe Biden will mistake the nuclear missile launch button with the microwave." I actually hate all people. Like, I hate interacting with them on a daily basis. Self-isolation has been great for me because I've been able to perfect the art of being alone and not seeing other people. Speaking of seeing other people, I've always imagined what those campus admissions tours would look like if the guides actually told the truth about Syracuse. They could go something like, "Hello, everyone. My name is Josh, and I will be your tour guide here today. At Syracuse University, there are lots of demonstrations in support of animal rights. Students love animals so much, they kill them for coats, boots, and hats. Here is the Carrier Dome, home of the Orange. We are so lucky that our famous stadium was able to get sponsored by a major corporation and named for the world-class air conditioning company. Unfortunately, the Carrier Dome is not air conditioned." Some people plan their days around business meetings. Other people plan their days around rush hour traffic. But Jews plan their days around food. And here at Syracuse, that means planning days around noshing on the only edible thing on campus: pre-packaged pretzels and hummus. At graduation, I won't be thanking Syracuse University when I cross the stage. No. I will be thanking Sabra Snackers. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Up next, a freshman from Baldwinsville, New York. She loves her cat more than she loves most humans. We got Annie Gorham.
Okay, now I'm not muted. Hi, I'm Annie, and I love the billboards on the side of the highway that are like, "Is hell real?" Because I think about it, you know? Like on a boring freeway, they're just a little reminder of life's hidden mysteries. At Syracuse billboards especially really exercise the mind like no other. The first important one that comes to mind is the Syracuse Friends for Life billboard. It's a picture of a fetus with the caption, "This is a fetus." Okay. You see, this fails as a piece of propaganda for me because it includes like no other information or argument. So you can just kind of drive by like, yeah, that is a fetus. You know what it isn't? A person. Moving right along, you keep going, and right off of West Street, there's a billboard that has what is clearly like a stock image of a teenager, and it just reads, "Tyler, typical teen, never uses weed." First of all, nerd. Second of all, this is obviously like some repackaged just say no, like war on drugs marketing that we know is racist and terrible and doesn't even work. Like, we live in a society, just give it to me straight, Tyler, typical teen, doesn't use weed, sure does invest in prison labor though. On the bright side, after our boy Tyler, we get to what is my personal favorite billboard. It's for Paradise Found, Syracuse's premier gentlemen's club. Now, upon seeing this, my next logical train of thought is, well, we are in Syracuse. How premier is it gonna get? What they tell you right on the billboard. It's off exit 16A, right behind the AutoZone. Get in the zone, my friends. Get in the zone. Thank you very much. Our next performer is a sophomore from Oakton, Virginia. Please welcome the immeasurably funny Chris Vin.
Thank you very much. So glad to be back. So I'm Asian, and growing up, I hated the stereotype that Asians can't drive. I used to get really offended. But then I turned 16 and I started driving, and I understand. I get it now. I'm not worried about myself. I'm a great driver. I never do more than 20 over the speed limit. I put my phone down when I see cops. Like, I got my shit under control. I'm talking about other drivers around me. Like, I'm from Northern Virginia, or as I like to call it, West Korea. And I'm starting to realize that like 90% of my road rage comes from people who look like my immediate family. So now if I get mad at a driver, I have to pray that they're not Asian before I confront them. I'll get cut off by a beat down Hyundai Sonata, and now I have to honk and swerve around them, just talking to myself the whole time, like, come on, black, white, Hispanic, black, white, Hispanic, black, white, Hispanic. God damn it. It's always some elderly Asian lady who can barely see over the dashboard. I can't yell at her. That's like yelling at my grandmother. I was once driving next to these two Asian women who are at least like 95 years old, both wearing gigantic sunglasses, and I accidentally drifted into their lane because I was looking at Twitter. So they pulled up on my right and they started screaming at me like, "Learn how to drive." Sorry, my elderly Asian lady impression is still a work in progress. But I felt bad for a second, but that's when I noticed that there was a dent the approximate size and shape of a fire hydrant, like right in the space where the front headlight was supposed to be. Like, okay, lady, calm down. You can't really say anything to me when you're out here hitting objects that don't move. I definitely get my bad driving habits from my dad, though. That man is nuts. Everything's always a race to him. He's like, oh, it's a 40-minute drive. I can get us there in 12. Like, relax. I used to fall asleep when he was behind the wheel because I'd get car sick if I kept my eyes open. But now I have to stay awake to make sure that he doesn't fall asleep when he's behind the wheel. Last time I tried to take a nap in his car, I woke up to him getting sideswiped by an 18-wheeler. I don't know how or why. I just opened my eyes and saw wheels scraping against the window 3 inches from my face. So we both have to pull over. The driver hops out and he is just a tank, like absolutely humongous. And I was actually scared at this point because my dad gets road rage, but he cannot be trying to pick a fight with a truck driver. This guy's built like an offensive lineman. Meanwhile, my dad is 5'8" in heels and is dressed like Mr. Rogers. So I have to calm him down because he's sitting in the driver's seat just yelling every curse word he can think of, but he's also not very good at swearing, so it just sounded awkward. He was like, shit, fuck, poop, butt, wiener. But I'm like, you really cannot get angry with this guy. First of all, because he looks like he could kill both of us with his bare hands, but also because it was entirely your fault. I don't think this dude hopped into his truck this morning like, yeah, I really just feel like taking out a Prius today. But he kept his cool, and the trucker was pretty chill, probably because there wasn't any actual damage to the truck, which honestly is pretty weak on my dad's part. This guy's carving stick figures into our doors. The least we could do is scratch a little paint, you know? So luckily it wasn't too serious, but after that incident, I now get into the car with my father, completely prepared to be murdered at any given moment. It's gotten to the point now where if he's driving and I get nervous, I'll just start singing "See You Again." Cut across 4 lanes of traffic to catch an exit ramp at 60 miles per hour, and I'll be like, it's been a long day. I miss Yao Ming. He isn't dead. I just haven't heard from him in a while. I hope he's doing all right. You all remember him, right? Houston Rockets legend, Asian sports hero. That guy was a monster. The only problem I had with Yao Ming was that he spread false optimism. He had an entire generation of young Asian boys believing that they could also grow up to become a Hall of Fame NBA center. He set us all up for disappointment. And I believed it too, because I was a stupid idiot that didn't have even the most basic understanding of human genetics. Should have realized that a 5'5" dad and a 4'10" mom weren't going to produce a 7-foot son. That's just not how it works. That's even more embarrassing. Because, I was assumed I was going to be 6'3" because that was the height of my 2 childhood idols, Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez. But like Alex Rodriguez before steroids and an affair with a 50-year-old Madonna. Because after that, I was just like, ew. But I actually grew pretty fast when I was younger, so I just assumed I was going to get there eventually. But as soon as I hit 5'10", my body was like, all right, that's enough. And everything just stopped. I honestly wouldn't be so insecure about my height right now if it weren't for my younger sister hitting these ridiculous growth spurts. She's 14 years old and she's 5'8". I used to be able to carry her on my shoulders like it was nothing. We tried to do that again last summer, and I fractured a vertebrae. I don't know why she got all the tall genes, but it's not fair. Because being tall when you're a girl just amplifies it even more, especially to me as a shorter guy. Like if you're 5'9" as a girl, you're basically 6 feet to me. And if you're 6 feet as a girl, you might as well be 6'6". Like, damn, just dunk on me already, please. And my sister is still growing. It's absurd. The doctor said her projected height is supposed to be 6'1". Are you serious? I had to pull her aside like, listen, Stephanie, you gotta chill out with this shit. 6'1"? How could you do this to me? I'm your older brother. I've always loved you. Like, please just show me some respect. What do you even need to be that tall for? I know we keep the Chex Mix on the top shelf, but it's not that serious. I can just grab it for you. There's no need to turn into a giraffe on me. It's embarrassing. I told her straight up, I was like, if you actually grow to 6'1", I'm gonna have to amputate your calves and reattach your feet at the knees. I'm sorry. There's just no way I'm gonna let you emasculate me like that. Thank you. Thank you very much. You've been great. I will now pass it back off to the man who made all of this happen, Professor Ken Frieden.
Awesome, guys. I want to thank Stephen Rosenfield for working with my students and bringing out the best in them. Thank you to the American Comedy Institute for hosting this event on YouTube. Thanks to our co-sponsors at Syracuse University, the Jewish Studies Program, the Religion Department, the Humanities Center, the College of Arts and Sciences, and Syracuse Hillel. Thanks to all of you, wherever you are, who are watching this second performance online at the Virtual Comedy Cafe. We enjoyed preparing the show and streaming it to you live. I expect we'll be back with another program later this month or later this year. It's also a pleasure to thank my teaching assistant, Mitchell Moreau, and also Adam, DJ, Brett, who expertly handles our technical support. They're both grad students in the Department of Religion at Syracuse University. Teaching these students has blown me away. Thanks to all of you for giving it your best shot. All I had to do was let them express their own creativity. Thanks again, and good night.